Hello everyone and welcome to SteveKnows. This video is a little different, but I found it interesting how Bonelab has highlighted a major problem with virtual reality that splits the community and sadly causes issues for gamers and developers. We all want to be immersed in incredible worlds, have rich interactions and experiences that's just not possible anywhere else. But it looks like it comes at a cost if you're not careful. So let's go over why the hype of this game may have caused some problems and also what the negative reviews are for Bonelab. I want to be very clear at the start of this video that I am blown away by this game and I really enjoyed it. There is nothing like this on the standalone platform and the physics are out of this world. I've been clicking through countless videos, reviews and forums about this game to understand what the community loves and dislikes about it, and why it can be an issue for virtual reality. This is an observation and a discussion, not me saying that Bonelab is bad, it just highlighted the disparity in the community, and I want more players in VR, which is why I found this interesting. In the VR space, these kinds of largely complex and stunning games are few and far between. I always see around the community, we want more big games. We've had hardware drops aplenty, but it's time for the software. Large, big-hitting games are great for adoption as people either see franchises that they love and want to experience in a new way, and or they generate hype like Bonelab has become one of the most anticipated games on the platform and had people dusting off their headsets to enjoy this title. You just could not escape it. And I think it would be safe to assume the drumming up of this excitement was largely due to us VR veterans who had been in this VR space and had played Boneworks and know how complex and beautiful this Marrow physics engine is in-game. It allows for a new kind of immersion where you can interact with the world like never before, instead of many other games that use defined interactions where you'll see hands snapping to door handles or snapping to a weapon, and you can't traverse the world in a way that you want to. In Bonelab, the world is your playground, and it tries to put as little limitations on you as a player as possible. Stress Level Zero have designed this game to be an experience where you are left to your own devices, which is part of the problem, as there are many very unexpected puzzling issues to solve that you could easily miss. I think new gamers in VR are in for a shock if they're getting caught up in the hype and then dropping $40 for this title, and then are given infinite possibilities at their fingertips within a game that does require a learning curve. There have been issues with motion sickness due to the lack of comfort options available, where players are jumping down pipes and pits, sprinting and leaping across gaps, and this discomfort is a common issue as to why people put down their headsets and walk away from VR. This is a polarizing aspect where VR veterans love the immersion and the intensity, but new gamers, or casual gamers, are still yet to adapt, potentially leading to less adoption for the future, resulting in less games that we want. This could easily be fixed by the developers as well by simply including some comfort options in an update, which I hope does come, such as tunnel vision and teleported jumps, so I do hope Stress Level look at this feedback and implement this feature. Bonelab also provides very little assistance in-game, and the title almost has a requirement that you have experience with this before jumping in. And if you're a Quest standalone gamer, you wouldn't have had this experience with Boneworks initially. After playing Boneworks, it was easy to understand and read the world around you and how to use your body, so it was rather easy to dive in and play this game, and I took that for granted. A lot of the complaints for 1-star reviews are over clunky controls and much confusion on interactions. I've seen things like the balls you have to pull apart, and you have to figure that out. It does not tell you how to do this, and you find these balls super early into the experience. They contain unlockables which allow you to use in the sandbox modes. People have been looking for a recycler, collecting items in buckets and carrying it with them, only to find out this no longer exists. The inventory system also has a quick access system, but this is not apparent as the tooltip shows you how to use the menu navigation to access things, which is simply not the way to do it. You can grab weapons from your back, from your holsters, and down by your side. I have no doubt people found this incredibly frustrating when they're in the middle of a battle and they're there having to open up a menu to pull out a gun. People who also have not played this before seem to be struggling with jumping. You have to relearn how to jump in this game, as it works rather differently to other experiences. You have momentum and different strengths of your launch. You then also have to drag yourself up over the ledge, which again is another learning curve. People also seem to be struggling dealing with different materials in the world, and you have to do this at the very start of the game with incredibly huge stones and barrels. You find yourself trying to lift something up over your head, and then it remains at chest level and becomes rather clunky to move around and use, and this is incredibly frustrating for new gamers it seems. And as I said, this is at the very start of the experience, so it's not off to a good one. Right out of the gate, gamers are baffled and struggling with little direction, and it's hard to learn these things if you're not a VR veteran or have your finger on the pulse in the community like most of us. So it seems this has resulted in people refunding the game and walking away from this title, and potentially VR as well. There is also much confusion around the game's progression and its story, and this got me good as well actually. Once you've made it through the initial story, the prologue let's call it, and you've entered the Bonelab area, you have all the game modes now surrounding you. And some people have thought this is the end of the game. You have that prologue and then you just enjoy all of these game modes. And that's it. But that is not true. Some people have claimed in reviews that the game is only a few hours long, which is just not true. There is so much more to enjoy. If you're not invested in the community and have the assistance and a constant flow of information around you, you will very likely be stuck here. So just so you know, once you've entered this area where all the game modes are, you have to enter that game mode, and this will allow you to activate the orb above it. You then use the crane to grab those orbs and stick them on the platforms that are by the crane control panel. Oh, and don't forget to put the batteries in the crane. This will allow you to open up a new area and progress through the title. Many of us, such as myself, have really enjoyed this experience and love this world, so we have hyped it, hyping the endless limitations and freedom of this title. But because of this, new players seem to be left confused, and when you're confused, that does not result in much fun. And people have been walking away, they can't control their avatars, they don't know how to progress, they don't know what to do, they find the controls rather clunky, and they've just had enough. The lack of story in the game also seems to be an issue for people. Casual gamers or people new to this world need to be fed more than what is given, so they can feel invested in this world. A good story can make a world of difference to your experience. Maybe they can add a recap to the start of the game as one of the options before actually diving in. There is a great video by Virtual Panda that will prepare you for the lore, but the story in this game, it has to be discovered. You have to be on the lookout for it, but in order to do that, you have to be aware of it. Because you could easily just run through this game and not know anything by the end of it, and I think this is detrimental to the experience and they need to add something. There are also complaints that the game cannot be installed and they're struggling. This is just launch pains. This is a common thing, especially with a large game with so much complexity. There are always going to be issues, so please don't judge the game on the installation. This will get fixed. So to summarise, Bonelab, the most anticipated game of the year, has provided many lessons about this space and some insights that could hopefully be resolved and assist a new development. Newcomers to VR, my advice to you would be work up to this game. There are smaller titles to play around with like Quest, Blade and Sorcery Nomad, or the Physics Playground for you to adjust to a physics engine and that jumping mechanic so you can adjust to those controls. Also check out some tips and tricks videos on the game so you know what to expect and be aware of, and don't get caught by those gotchas that so many of us seem to be, because there are a few in this. I'm not going to ruin it, but there are some, so please check out some of those videos. Also catch up on the story before diving in, so that way you can really appreciate the truly incredible experience that awaits you, especially when people start dropping modification. That's going to add so much content and there'll be lots of fun to be had. But this is early days, so there are some growing pains. I think it's hard to find a balance because we need to support large projects like this so we can see more and more of them being released. But developers also need to understand that VR is at a growing point. There are some incredible pains, things that we need to look out for so we can get new players in, and it's only small adjustments that would not take away from our VR veteran experience. So thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this one and look forward for what's coming next in the VR space and the mods to come. Comment down below your thoughts, whether you want to bite back at some of the reviews that I had shown or add your own. Have a great week. Happy gaming, guys. Good day.